Are you sick of people hanging out outside your front door? Never giving you a single second of peace? Well, I have good news for you, friend. A film has come along that gives us the answer to this problem. It's called The Woman in the Yard. It's a Blumhouse film. Regardless, I saw the film and I'm going to give you my thoughts in what will probably be a somewhat quick review. Let's begin. Before I pop open the screen door and take a step outside, if you wouldn't mind just stepping on that subscribe button, just get your foot right up there on the screen and smash down on it as hard as you can so that you are confident you are going to be here for the next video. Maybe even hit the notification bell. You know, now that I think about it, since it's really hard to talk about this film without giving anything away, let's do this. First half of this review is going to be spoiler free. Then I'm going to somersault twist right into the spoilers and I'll let you know when that happens. But let's get some things cleared up right now. Should you go to this film, you come up to me and you say, Adam, with tears in your eyes, please tell me if I should see this new Blumhouse atrocity. Have they finally learned their lesson? Have they found their way? Well, to that I say, I don't know why I'm rhyming, no. But kind of also yes. This feels like Blumhouse trying their hand at a little bit of an A24 vibe. Because The Woman in the Yard is not your basic by-the-numbers horror schlock. It has some depth to it. It's got things to say. Now, whether or not those things are said clearly is up for debate, which I'll talk about later. But on its face, this movie is not very scary. It takes a freaking long ass time to get anywhere. It's that dreaded PG-13. So the gore and the deaths are going to be very minimal. I mean, there's only like 5 people in this entire film. One of which is a creepy ass lady who's dressed in all black like she's attending a funeral, camped out right in the front yard. Now, for someone like myself, I would say that's nothing a quick grab of the broom can't fix. Hey, get out of here. Get out of my yard. But for Ramona and her 2 children, it's a more difficult situation. You see, this family is grieving. We have a widowed mother and 2 children now fatherless. They're living on this fixer-upper farmhouse that he thought was a great idea. Thanks, Dad. And now they're stuck here with a busted-up car, some dog from all those old newspaper comic strips, and a brand new neighbor who decided to move in right out front. Now, I did preface this by saying this movie takes a good chunk of time to get going. The movie is less than an hour and a half. And yet it feels so much longer because of the slow, plodding nature to it. And it's at no fault of the cast. Danielle Deadwyler, yes, Dead is in her last name, gives a fantastic performance as the mother. You feel for this woman as she limps her ass around the house, trying to get food for the kids, trying to turn on the damn pilot light, trying to get the electricity working, and trying to get this dumb hoe out of the front yard. This is what we would call a psychological thriller, psychological horror, if you must. This woman in the front yard is not all that she seems. Mind games are going on. She's doing things with shadows and mirrors and reflections. And pretty soon, much like Ramona, you as an audience member are not going to know what the hell is going on. And I'm not sure by the time it is over, you ever truly figure that out. And some will say that's the brilliance of the film. The challenge with this movie is the lady in the yard has everything working correctly. The acting is spot on. Cinematography is gorgeous. This is one of the prettier looking Blumhouse movies I've seen in a very long time. The visual effects all feel real and practical. Even if that's not the case and they're using some new fandangled Hollywood trickery, it's triggering me. It's triggering me. I could have said tricking, but I went with triggering. Subscribe. There's an old adage out there where people will say, hey, you know what? This movie's not made for you. Made for that guy, that gal, who will appreciate it. And that's fair. I say the same thing about my channel. Hey, you think I try too hard to make you laugh? Well, yeah, I'm trying hard to make you laugh. I want you to enjoy what you're watching. I want you to feel engaged with me. And some people just like the snooty dude that pushes the glasses up and says, I found the cinematography to be lacking in certain aspects. I thought the whole duality of man angle they were going for came off a bit macabre, which I suppose was the intention. But for me, long story short, I wouldn't recommend rushing out to see this one in the theaters, although I do recommend people supporting original stories, and so I suppose I'm at an odds with myself. I also value time and money, and the movie theaters can be very expensive, and films can get quite long when you add the trailers into things, which are now like 30 minutes long. Come on! What are we doing anymore with trailers? But that's a whole other rant I could go on. This feels like a movie you could settle down at home and watch. It's an hour and 28 minutes or something. It doesn't even hit an hour and a half, and it feels longer than that. And it's very much like most horror movies, backloaded. You're gonna get a lot of those jump out scares and shock factor moments in the last 25 minutes or so. But even then, it's not very scary because at that point, you're just kind of confused as to what the hell's even happening in this film. So the wild thing here, to summarize, is everything pretty much fires correctly. Great acting, great direction, beautiful soundtrack, beautiful visuals. It's just the story that did not hit home for me, and I thought it was kind of confusing and muddled as it got going further on. But let's get into some of the spoilers quickly. I'm not going to waste too much more of your time. Thank you for watching if you don't want to go any further, but I just want to say, I get that it's a metaphor. I get we're doing the whole allegory thing. It's not my first time seeing a film like this. And while I do appreciate the fact that this woman in the front yard represents this haunted, tortured soul, this version of our main character, Ramona, that she cannot shake, a dark passenger of sorts. It's a clever idea, and using shadows and mirrors to reflect this version of herself was interesting. And so let that carry us to the end of the film where our Ramona is completely lost her mind. She goes through this bizarre black hallway, winds up in the very room she started at, where she's playing back a video of her and her husband laying on the bed, talking about the house and the ideas they have for it. And it's a beautiful, touching scene. But something's wrong. His tattoo is flipped. Things are reading backwards. The numbers, the pictures, everything is reversed. Because she's trapped inside of this mirror alternate reality, whether literally or figuratively, I don't fucking know. I guess it really doesn't matter that much. I guess the idea here is her guilt and her trauma has attached itself to her children, and so now it's kind of corrupting the entire household. And this takes us to a very dark place, talking about taboo issues, which is that of suicide. Now, not to get too personal, but I actually lost my father in a car crash when I was 16, much like she lost her husband. And I can tell you, grief is a very brutal thing. And some of those dark thoughts definitely creep their way into the back of your mind. They just sit there, festering, eating at you. And it might get so bad that it busts out a folding chair and plops its ass right down in the front yard. Inching closer and closer, hour to hour, as you sit with it and let it break you. Ramona finally is convinced that the only way to save her kids and herself is to take the gun with one shell. And I think you get where I'm going next. Fortunately, she is able to overcome this obstacle and put the gun down and is reunited once more with her kids and the dog. The director does a slow zoom in to a painting that Ramona has done. She used to be a very talented artist, hasn't done it in a while since obviously the death of her husband. But we have a beautiful painting right here. Nice pastel treatment on this canvas. And we see the reflection in the corner of this picture, two versions of this woman. The strong, proud mother that carried on with her kids, but then that lingering darkness that has planted itself and has not gotten uprooted yet. And that would have been a fine ending. But then we had to inception this bitch. The director then pulls down on the painting and we see Ramona's name with the R backwards. The hump is facing the wrong way. What does this mean? Is she still in the mirror world? Is the darkness now controlling her? Is our Ramona lost forever and all that's left is the misery and the torment? Or maybe her daughter wrote it because she has a hard time getting those R's the right way. She keeps putting the hump backwards. I saw online, actually, just before recording this video, that people are claiming there are multiple endings to this film. Some have the name backwards, some have it forward. I don't know if they're that clever over at Blumhouse. Although it is a very good marketing ploy to get people talking about the film. The problem is you would have to sit through a pretty damn slow burn to get to just a all right final act. Again, the pieces were all here for something truly special. I just think it missed the mark with the PG-13 and kind of the artsier approach that doesn't build to anything truly that haunting. A clever concept for sure, but one that does not quite stick the landing for me. Although others certainly will appreciate it, and I'm perfectly fine accepting that. We all have our own opinions. But for me, a little bit worse than it is better. Check it out on streaming if you, or go to theaters. Let me know in the comments. Please like the video if you, in fact, like this video. Hit the subscribe. I'm begging you, sir, ma'am, hit the subscribe. It takes a second. It's free of charge. Hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you when more videos come out. I post movie reviews every single week on the channel. Sometimes I do rants, roasts, live streams. It's all movies all the time. And I would love to have you stick around. All right, take care. Now get the hell off my lawn. Thanks again for watching the video. If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it if you checked out patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies. That's where fans of my channel go to help support it. There are different tiers with different offerings, exclusives every month. We got multiple movie reviews, there's a vlog monthly, and even if you don't want to plop down $1 a month, you can just sign up for Patreon for free and become a member at no charge. Appreciate your time. Thanks.